What's going on, Miss Jazz? How you doing?
All right, we got to figure it out, bro. I was about to panic.
That's all good. I'm glad that you're the one that took the initiative to start everything. That's awesome.
Yeah, I try not to ever be late. So.
Oh no, that's awesome. I thank you so much for giving me the time to talk to you for just a second to talk about your career, go over it along with your role in Mission Pro Wrestling, and what we can expect for the future. First off, I've learned that you're from Louisiana, so I love to talk about food. Where would you take me to eat if I went out there to visit you?
To my house. To my house. My mother-in-law is probably one of the best cooks you'll ever meet.
What's your favorite thing that she makes?
Actually, we love the shrimp or the crawfish etouffee. And, I've become pretty good at making gumbo myself.
Oh, I want to try gumbo. You see, like they have these restaurants that say like seafood gumbo, and I'm like, not unless I have somebody who grew up eating it will I ever know. Because I'm originally from New Jersey, so when they say like, "Hey, this is New York pizza," I'm like, "That's not New York pizza. That's not."
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even try to say. So, Miss Jackie, I've learned, or excuse me, Jazz, I've learned that Jackie was the one who influenced you to get into wrestling. How important is representation in pro wrestling?
Well, I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. So we had USWA, the Memphis Wrestling there. And Jackie was known as Miss Texas back then. Mm-hmm. So Miss Texas was just, this tough little cookie that didn't take no smack from nobody.
So you ended up being trained by Junkyard Dog. What's one of the things that you remember the most about him when you were training with him?
Dog basically taught Rodney and myself the business. He took us on the road with him, from the time we started, and he just taught us the business. He taught us how not to he taught us how not to be mistreated in the business with dealing with promoters, and he most definitely taught us how to make money. Dog was the gimmick man. Yeah.
So was there any story that he told you since he was wrestling at a time where, it was probably more tough than it is now as far as being booked, being a man of color in the business?
Yeah, but Dog was the man, and especially in Louisiana, they gave him the key to the city in New Orleans. He sold out the dome, so he just taught us. He basically just would tell us, if a person wants to put your name or your photo on a flyer and not book you, you're obligated to go get your money. Dog was all about his money. So it's like false advertisement. Don't use his name if you're not willing to pay.
Right. So unfortunately, when he passed away, can you tell me what kind of reaction the wrestling world had for him? I know I was pretty young when he passed away, so to see what the people in the business spoke about him, I wasn't able to see that.
Yeah, actually, I was in ECW when I got the news that he had passed. He was just one of those guys that, you loved him no matter what. He, wow, that's kind of a touchy situation because he and I were very, very close. We were actually roommates for a little while. So when we got the news, it was very, we took it pretty hard because he pretty much passed the torch to Rodney. That's how he became Red Dog. He passed the torch to Rodney. So, we were most definitely, we felt that one.
So let's talk about your time in ECW. Seems like publicly and in the mainstream, when it comes to terms of mainstream wrestling, you were probably the first to do intergender wrestling when because you came out with the Impact Players and you were there with Just Incredible and Lance Storm, but you ended up having a a feud, and you ended up facing Rhino among others. What kind of preparation did you have when they said, "Hey, you're gonna wrestle some of the guys"?
Man, let me tell you this one. Honestly, I had only trained probably 8 months prior to signing with ECW. So I was just, they threw me out there to the wolves, basically. But, you know, Paulie was the type of person that if he had any kind of faith in you, you know, he expected the best. He knew he was going to go out there and do your best, and he expected nothing less. But I tell you, I took everybody's finisher there. I thought that was my job for a minute to run out there and take the finishers. I took Rhino's gore. I mean, I took from Balls Mahoney. Oh my God. C.W. Anderson, the Spine Buster. Oh my goodness, man. Yes.
And you were just one of the boys. They didn't take it easy on you.
They did not, and that's how Paulie told him, don't take it easy on me. But he also told me, go out there and lay my shit in as well. So that's how we did it.
Lance Storm went on to be I loved Lance Storm when I was watching him, and he went on to be a road agent and a coach and running his own school. Did you see any of that wrestling knowledge when you were with him in Impact Players?
Yeah, I saw that with a lot of guys, but Lance, he was most definitely a leader, you know, and then with being with Impact Players, he most definitely stepped up and made sure that I was being taken care of. Him, PJ, and Jason Knight, they all took care of me. But Lance, most definitely, he stood out as a leader for sure.
After ECW folded and the whole invasion thing was happening in the WWE, it was reported that WWE took a big interest in you, and you were training in OVW, and they decided to debut you in Survivor Series, where the storyline was that if the Alliance lose, they were no more. Was it a strange thing for you, knowing what the storyline was, that they were going to bring you in? Or?
Had no clue what the storyline was, honestly. I was on vacation. Rodney and I had went back to Louisiana to visit parents. And while on vacation, they called me and told me they needed to come up for TV. So that's how that happened. So I had no clue.
You definitely made an impression, including Paul Heyman's commentary that night. I watched it last night to look over it again and get refreshed. I know his commentary is really putting you over. So you entered a feud with Trish Stratus, and this is something I want to stay on topic for a second, because Trish Stratus came in as a valet, as a pretty face girl that they're going to put in bikinis and, you know, the calendars and everything, and she's gone on record in interviews to say it gives you a lot of credit to get her to that level that she's been at, and that, you know, people are looking at her like a legend, and she's in the Hall of Fame. She gives you a lot of credit. Can you talk about the assignment, I guess, so to say, to working with Trish and getting her to that level?
Well, I mean, there really was no assignment. I just went out there and I just gave them jazz, you know, and I've always tried to be the type of person to elevate anyone I'm in the ring with. And Trish and I, we just gelled. We had good chemistry, you know, and she was so easy to beat up. So it really made my job easy. The fans loved her, which again made my job really, really easy. Once again, she was a top face there. She was the face of WWE, WWF at the time. So me coming in as a heel, just, you know, it was meant to be. It was an awesome time.
I can't remember what match it was, but it was something that always impressed me about Trish Stratus. When she started taking bumps and she started having, you know, little mixed tag matches with like Rock and Triple H, where she was more protected than allowed to like actually wrestle. So there was one match that she was supposed to do the Stratus faction, which involved her putting her feet on the top rope. They were supposed to reverse it. She was supposed to land on the apron, but her feet missed the apron, fell face first. And I remember looking at her like, damn, I hope she's okay. She finishes the match, and I just remember the visual of her just wiping the blood off.
Yeah.
Did she surprise you with her toughness?
She really did. You know, in the beginning when we first started our feud, she was, I guess her iron was low or something, but she would have all these bruises, and they would always come up to her and ask her, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Look, how about me? You know, I'm the one taking the Stratus kick, and you know, what she had everything named after her." But you know, sometimes those kicks, you never knew where they was gonna land. They would land on your leg, your ribs, your jaw, your temple. You just never knew. I'm like, you need to be checking on me instead of her. But she was a trooper, though. You know, she really was. She never complained once about me being stiff or anything. I guess she knew, you know, that was our way of getting over. And they were
Nice.
so tired. They were so tired of doing those panties and bra matches, all those gimmick matches. And when I came in, you know, I for one was never involved in any matches like that. So
Yeah.
that gave, you know, pretty much us an opportunity to go out there and showcase our true talent. And that's what we focused on. It was only a handful of us, and we wanted to be taken seriously.
It's important that it's interesting that you say that, because in an interview, in a promo, you said that my TNA is talent and ability.
That's it.
How was it difficult for you to avoid the bra and panties matches, or did they already say no, we're not going to put her in that, she's going to wrestle?
I didn't have to avoid it at all, but I guess, you know, once they saw me work, they knew that the panties and bra matches, the gimmick matches, just wasn't gonna fit for me at all. It just wasn't gonna fit. But again, I had always been similar. I guess you can say I've always was a face in ECW. Me wrestling the guys automatically had me face. So when I went to WWF, they just said, "You're going to be a heel." I had never tried to work heel, never studied heel, any of that until I actually went to WWF. And I just, you know, studied my craft every day, and I worked at it, and I think I did pretty damn good.
No, you did, because you are the first African American woman to walk into WrestleMania and walk out of WrestleMania Women's Champion. Is that something that
Yes.
you noticed during the build, or was that something that came came up afterwards? And you know, tell me about the point of pride that is for you.
Well, you know, going into it, I never looked at it as being the first African American woman to go in and walk out as a champion. I never looked at it that way until probably a year later. You
Mm.
know, again, you know, going to WrestleMania, that's the Super Bowl of wrestling. So I was just stoked just for being a part of Mania. There was nothing else I could have wanted in WWF after that. I mean, that was it.
Talk about the match, because you know, looking back, it is a good match. You got Lita and Trish Stratus, which, you know, they're great workers. But the thing is, you came on, and everybody talks about how Jericho and Triple H had it bad that night, because they were the main event after Rock and Hogan, which took everybody's emotions away. But you were actually the match right after Rock and
Yeah,
Hogan. Was it
yeah.
difficult for you and the rest of the ladies to keep everybody emotionally invested to the match?
We were a little upset about that because I don't think, if I can remember correctly, I don't think we were actually supposed to have that spot on the card. I think they kind of just threw us in there once they realized that they needed someone to go after Hogan and The Rock. I mean, the crowd, they were so, I mean, oh my
Yeah.
God. It was crazy. They were so high. And they put us in there, I guess, expecting everyone to go take their bathroom break, go to concession stands, you know, but we just was like, you know what, here we are, girls. Let's go out there. We worked hard to get here. We're really prepared for this night, and we're just gonna go out there and just give it all we got. And that's how we looked at everything. And every night before we went out to the ring, each and every night, Raw, a house show, pay-per-view, whatever, we just took it as this is our opportunity to go showcase what we got, and that's what we did.
I want to just derail a little bit from the interview to show you this. I am 34 years old, and this is, what year are we? Oh my God, this is 17 years ago.
Oh wow, you're
So
making it sound
my
old. You tell my age.
my daughter brought this up to me. That is me right here. That's Ivory, that's King, and that's you right there.
Wow. Yes.
And you were nice enough to sign this for me. I still have this over here
There you go.
from
See,
a
I've always been a nice person.
always always been a nice
Always.
person, but just a
Yeah.
person that you wouldn't want to mess with. Um,
You know what? And I think I was probably the only person, the only woman in the history of that company as of still today that never turned. That I was a heel going in, and I was a heel the moment when I walked out the door.
I want to say so. I'm thinking about Victoria, but I think at one point she was a face.
Yeah.
Um, so one interesting thing about you is that you were the last WWF Women's Champion and the first WWE Women's Champion. You had the title when WWF lost their court case to the World Wildlife Fund.
Yeah.
Was there a
Drop
reaction
the F.
backstage? Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, get the F out. Was there a reaction backstage to the name change?
No, not that I know of. And if so, I mean, that was irrelevant to me. I don't care. You know, I was just trying to stay injury free. That was my goal. And unfortunately, those was the only reason that I actually had to drop the titles due to injuries. So, and technically, you know what? I never lost the belt.
You never lost the belt because you lost it in the battle royal, and then you had to vacate. So when you have an injury and you have to sit at home, when you're not logging in the miles, when you're not taking the flights, and you're not driving and checking into hotels, what did you take up any hobbies or what did you do at home? Did you grow plants? What was it?
Work my ass off to get back. That's it. I'm trying to get back. No, I'm not trying to stay home. I wasn't looking for a vacation. No, 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 no. I was trying to get back and take what belonged to me. That's what I was trying
Hmm.
to do. Yeah, I
So
was.
let's talk about the road for a second. Where is some of the best food you've ever tasted during your travels?
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. I don't know because I'm from the South and I like
Right.
food with seasoning and spices and you go to some of these states, some of the food is pretty bland. So I don't know. I can't remember. I can't recall a place that really sticks out that I could say, oh my God, this food is fantastic.
Okay, so what kind of music do you listen to while you're driving?
If I'm by myself, believe it or not, I listen to gospel.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm by myself. But if I'm with, someone else, we'll put on something. I listen to rap. I listen to anything. I can groove to anything.
I interviewed Josiah Williams a few months ago, and he used to work for NXT before he got furloughed because of the COVID thing, and he's a Christian rapper,
Yeah.
and he says that one of the things that people get surprised of is that it's not like it's about God, but it's not all about like spirits and all that church
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
more just positivity and it's like motivating stuff. And I've heard his music and his music is awesome. What is it about gospel to you that allows you to have like some type of tranquility during the road?
I was brought up, I mean, in church. I'm Baptist, and just my dad was a gospel singer, so it's just, that's all I've ever known, basically. So I still stick to my roots. I'm a firm believer in God. I'm a godly person,
Right.
so I always say a prayer before every match. It's just that's just how I am. And Rodney and I, we have our school, and every night after training, we get together in a circle with all the students, and we said the Lord's Prayer.
Let's talk about the school for a little bit. You and your husband have the wrestling school, but Do you still have a fitness gym that you run?
No, 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 no. We had that in Louisiana. Wow. Probably 15 years ago. And once we left Louisiana, we kind of just let that go.
So talk about coaching and what do you want to do for the next generation? Is there something missing in this generation that you want to implement into your students?
I'm really into storytelling. I'm into psychology, and I love connecting with the audience, getting a feel from them. I can feel when it's time for me to fight back. I can feel when it's time for me to make a comeback. I just get that connection with the audience, and I think that's what's missing. That's the lost art of the business today.
So when it comes to so you were injured and you came back, and then you had what was it called, Thuggin' and Buggin' with Theodore Long and Rodney Mack, and so the basis behind that faction was that you guys felt that you weren't getting opportunities based on your
Held
skin
back
color.
from about a man. The man was holding us back.
I am reading the facts, ma'am. I am not disagreeing with you, nor am I trying to make up anything. But so I feel like it was way before its time with the way the climate is now in this country. How did you guys feel about that presentation of you three?
Again, they threw us the ball and we caught it and we ran with it. It's like no matter what they threw at us, we was gonna make it work. And that was our main focus. It wasn't so much that's how we really felt at the time. Because when you're given opportunities, it's up to you to either take it and run with it and make it work, or you're gonna drop it. And we wasn't about dropping it at all. But once we linked up with Teddy, Teddy, we just knew like that could be larger than life because Teddy always managed, like he was the real deal when it came to his guys that he had in his stable. So we just knew that this was going to be something that we were going to take as far as we could. But again, I believe that it was something that they put on us just to see if we could make it work. And I guess, unfortunately, we made it work in their eyesight. We made it work, but it got over too well. So
when they pulled the rug out from when they pulled the rug out from under you, does that make you think it was just some type of rib or some type of let's just throw this to them and see?
Once they pull that, that's when we start feeling, oh, maybe this gimmick is true. There's some truth behind this. What we've been out there saying all this time. There's some truth. Yeah, they was playing some mind games with us, but they knew we wasn't ones that we wasn't brown noses. We didn't kiss nobody's butt. If there was an issue, we went straight to them. We told them how we felt. In fact, one night, Rodney was so hot, he went to Arn Anderson. Like, Arn, I'm sick of this. Y'all telling me this and for me to go out here and do this, but it feel like it's nothing but lies. And Johnny Ace came over there and he was like, well, Rodney, it's like if you see Dave Bautista in the alley, what would you do? Rodney said, I'd fucking take his lunch money and eat his ass. I said, well, look like that's the end of our journey here.
So it's interesting because you want to think, and you hear stories about characters that got over by themselves, and they took the initiative and they went to Vince and they challenged the company, they challenged the machine and everything, and they became successful. But then you also hear stories like they just want you to show up, smile, do the job, and clock out and go home. Is there a fine line between that, or is there certain people that they want to push back? Or
yeah, only they have their chosen ones, but I look at it like this. that's my career. That's my livelihood. That's how I put food on my table. So, you know, I felt I had every right to speak up and tell them how I felt. So, you know, either you like it or you don't. But Johnny Ace told us we were too nice. We're too good and we're too nice. He was like, "How do you think HBK became top dog?" You know, it's like you gotta be cutthroat in that business, in that company. And I felt my talent spoke for itself. I didn't need to go and you know, go behind anybody's back and try to shut somebody else down in someone else's angle for me to get my opportunity. I felt once I got in the ring, I did what I was supposed to do, and I got over
Um,
every match.
I want to go back to your partnership with Teddy Long for a second. I think it's JBL that I learned from watching a speech of his that Teddy Long is legendary for being cheap. Do you have any good stories about Teddy Long, or maybe you had to pick up the bill a few times?
No, he ain't gonna pick up a bill. No, 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 he ain't do that. Our deal with Teddy, it was Rodney, Mark Henry, and myself. So, you know, we have our catering. That's what, around 11, 12 o'clock. So then we're done eating for the rest of the night. We don't get to eat until after the show because we're getting ready. We getting dressed, and going out to the ring, going over things. So Teddy would always get bags from the crew. They would give the crew bag lunches, what we call them, you know, sandwiches for the crew. And Teddy would always pick him up a couple of bags. So that was his dinner for the night. So we trying to get a hotel, and we're like, we're hungry. And Teddy, oh well, you know, I done ate already. And so we kept passing up restaurants. And Mark Henry said, Teddy, if we pass one more restaurant, I'm going to bite your fingers. So, believe it or not, we had to pull over because we had to tell Teddy, we're hungry, bro. We got to feed these muscles. You know, he just want to do his hour and a half of cardio, and he ate his little 2 sandwiches, his little turkey and cheese sandwiches, but we needed fuel, man. We needed fuel before we lay it
Um,
down.
to stay on the topic, because I feel like that's what everybody's talking about this year. Like, I feel like the African American community has either gone under scrutiny or they've just been hurt a lot. Um, and you know, representation is important in professional wrestling. When you see somebody that looks like you in turn, you know, you get built confidence. You get an idea like I can do what they're doing. So Mark Henry became the first, or excuse me, when Mark Henry became the world heavyweight champion, and then a couple years ago, Kofi Kingston went to WrestleMania to be the first African American WWE champion. Looking back, I don't feel like they acknowledged the whole African American layer. They were doing the underdog story, and that he was very well liked and a person that they didn't think was going to be champion. But do you and you said it in interviews? Do you still feel like they can't market an African American athlete?
I still feel the same. I still feel the same. Um, and you sit here and we discuss, you know, me being the first, uh, the last last WWF Women's Champion, the first WWE Women's Champion, and you know, I still have not received an action figure. I never had any merch with
I
the
never noticed you didn't have an action figure.
Yeah, no action figure. Now they flew me in. They made me leave my home and flew me in on a specific day and time, saying my action figure was in high demand, so I had to go do all my screenings. I went and did all that, and still no action figure.
Well, it's due time. It's you're definitely due for one. Somebody out there, whoever has a small action figure company, even somebody who can make it at home, one of those kids who sits in their basement, you definitely deserve an action figure.
I deserve one. God dang it. But yeah, I just feel like they don't market African Americans right. You know, the people of color, they just don't. I don't know what it is with that company. I'm not saying they're racist. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they don't know how. You know, if we're not coming down the ramp, you know, jiving and jugging and booging, then, you know, we got to have our pants sagging, you know, or it's just, I don't know.
You just want an athlete in there who just happens to be black.
That's it. Yeah.
So you were saying that your segments on TV when you were with Trish and Victoria and Molly Holly and that they were getting good ratings. And
Yes.
then you were pulled to the back and you said that you were told that you guys are wrestling too much like the men.
Yeah.
Which sounds like they're setting themselves back 40 years. So can you tell me about that conversation and what you felt after?
I said, well, my days here are very short because, yeah, after that conversation, now the girls, I think all of our mouths probably dropped, hit the floor. You know, we were just in awe because we worked so hard, you know, to elevate the women's division. And for them, like you said, to try to take us back, you know, another 15, 20, 30, 40 years, we just felt like what the hard work just went to shit, basically. And Trish was really upset because you know she was going to have to be the one. They wanted her to gimmick her top, so you grab the top or top flop off, and she's stuck there in the panties. Oh, you know, it's just no one was happy about it. No one, no one.
Looking back, I know that the past 4 or 5 years, WWE has taken a lot of credit and definitely boasted themselves about leading the women's revolution. But, you know, as a fan growing up in the business, I remember that, you know, when Trish started doing a thing and Lita and the main event, you showed up. Victoria was nuts with her gimmick when she showed up.
Yeah,
Molly Holly, you've realized through all those gimmicks that she was actually a good wrestler. I feel like that time with those five, and maybe the exception of somebody that I may be forgetting, and I apologize for that, but I feel like that little pocket of time was definitely revolutionary for the women because they went on to hire, you know, very pretty girls, but not to
yeah.
the wrestling ability that you guys have. Can you talk about when you started feeling the change
When they
how?
when they had that diva search, you know, when they brought all those girls in, oh my God, it was like we were totally irrelevant during those times. And they set up that volleyball dodgeball game, and we
Were you
lost.
part of that
Oh my
volleyball game?
God, huh?
Were you a part of that game
Yes, I was. I was
in
injured.
SummerSlam? Right?
I had like a dislocated shoulder, and I couldn't even really throw the ball. Yeah, and you
Was
know
it
we had to go
true?
to
Was it
wrestler's
true?
court behind that. They took us to wrestler's court behind
Yes,
that.
yes. Was it true that you guys got in trouble for losing to the Diva Search contestants?
They took us to
Oh, I
wrestler's
need to hear
court.
this story. I need to hear this story. I didn't
They
know
took us
you
to
were in a.
wrestler's court, but I tell you what, we was ready. We were ready. Ivory, I love Ivory. Oh my God, I love her to death. Ivory represented us. She went up there and she laid the smackdown on them. When Ivory finished with them, they couldn't say a word. She went talking about from because you know we had to dress business casual then. We couldn't even wear jeans anymore. We couldn't wear tennis shoes. You know we had to. They wanted the girls to travel in the airports with stilettos and dresses, and it was just it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all. But Ivory represented to the fullest.
I want more context for the wrestlers' court because I remember reading online that you guys got in trouble for losing to the Divas contestants. So who was the one that summoned you to court and how did that whole thing go?
I think it was Hunter. I think it was Hunter. Undertaker was the judge. It was Hunter. I was so pissed. I just went there. I didn't even open my mouth. I was really pissed about the whole situation. Because first I thought it was ribbing us when they said we been brought to wrestlers court. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? It was like, no, for real. Like, we got heat. So we went on in the room and we sat there and let Ivory, handle up, and she did. She was Johnny Cochran that day. Oh yes.
You mentioned the Undertaker
It don't fit. It must have quit.
You mentioned the Undertaker, and when you came in, he was about 11, 12 years in the game. Can you tell me about his leadership? Because just a few months ago, WWE Network put out an awesome documentary about him and his career. Can you tell me a little bit about him? Any interactions that you had with him?
Well, you know what? Those guys, they were all nice. Shawn Michaels, I mean, Hunter, they all were nice guys to us. But guys like that, back when I was there, they had their own little spot. They all sat together, and they didn't really do much mingling with us. They were there. They were cool. They never was rude or did anything disrespectful. And if we had an issue, we could have gone to them, or we needed any advice. Most definitely could have gone to them. But those guys, they were in a league of their own. The Stone Colds, The Rock, a league of their own.
So I want to talk. So you left WWE and you did the Indies and everything. I do want to talk about NWA because I got the date, September 16th, 2016. You started your reign as NWA Women's Champion, which would go on for over 900 days. And just looking at the look on
I
your face,
believe I'm the first and only African American woman to hold that title.
Even I can't even make eye contact with you right now because I feel like, man, this woman is such a badass. Can you tell me about your time in NWA and what that reign meant to you, if anything?
I just, to me, it was just another part of my legacy, that I'm gonna pass on to the next generation, pass on to my girls. Like I said, I believe I'm the first and only African American woman to ever hold that title. So again, there's history. It's just, when you're making history, but yet people fail to acknowledge it. And I'm not one to just sit here and just pat myself on the back and just, brag and rights. That's just not how I like to operate. But I just think one should receive their flowers while they're still alive. Don't wait till I'm dead and gone and be like, oh, Jazz was this, Jazz did this, Jazz was no. Give me my props now, and I'm cool with it. But holding that title, that's the title that I grew up watching. Ric Flair, I mean, just him alone, Jesus Christ. Harley Race, I mean, it's just, and to be aligned in that same category as those of the greatest of all time, that's like an epitome of like going to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What else could you ask for, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the current NWA Women's Champion is Thunderosa.
Uh-huh.
And just like you are the first African American woman, she is the first Mexican-born champion.
Yeah.
And she is just as tenacious as you are in the small amount of time that I've known her and I've gotten to know her. She's leading the charge for Mission Pro Wrestling, and she's not going to stop because getting to know her, it's like, holy crap, where does this woman get it from? And she's not stopping. Can you tell me about your feelings about her and where you see her in the future?
First of all, I have mad respect for Thunderosa. From the first moment I met her, it was nothing but respect. I love her. She's like a sister, We've clicked, so it's nothing but love. But she's most definitely, she's on a mission. I just hate that I was ahead of my time. I just wish I could just roll back the hands of time just a little bit so I can still be out here, and Thunderosa and I have our opportunity to get in the ring one more time and showcase and show the world what women of color can really do.
Definitely. And you are working behind the scenes in Mission Pro Wrestling.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a conversation with Brian, who is Thunderosa's husband.
Yes.
So he was mentioning that they don't want to work with anybody who's going to make it difficult for anybody else. So, and they want good storytelling matches, which is where you come in. Aside from the storytelling, I can't imagine what kind of law you're going to lay down in the back if there are any
Yeah, I
issues.
mean,
And
but the team itself, man, just the office, the ladies they have in the office, Thunderosa, male, I mean, they already know her expectations, you know, and then you have Robin. Robin, she's not gonna, you know,
yeah, no,
she's not gonna play with them, you
I
know.
interviewed her
So
last week, and I felt that from her too.
yes, yes, yes. And you know what? You need leaders like that in the locker room these days, because the first thing that well, I'm not gonna say the first thing, but what I most definitely going into this with Mission Pro is everybody's working towards the same goal. You know, no egos. You know, we're working together for the going towards the same goal, and you have to think like that, and you have to feel that, because again, these ladies are given a platform. You know, and it's either you take take advantage of this opportunity, or there's I always tell people, the moment you're slacking, there's 10 more in line to take your spot. So don't feel just because you're in the state of Texas or you've been on her shows prior that you're going to get this opportunity, and no matter what you do and how you go out there and perform, you're still going to be given this opportunity night in and night out. No, I don't think they're going to take it like that. Each night you got to treat each show as it's your first and final night.
Right. So you have a couple students in there for that night. So, you know, Mission Pro Wrestling is a distinct company because they have women in every position in that company. Not, you know, when you talk about WOW and Shimmer, they have, you know, men in the office, men in the back, you know, male promoter, male owner. So what do you think Mission Pro Wrestling and this show can do for women's wrestling in the future?
Wow, I mean, it's it's hard to really say what it can do, because I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, again, this is history. This is the first ever all women, you know, company. So again, these ladies better realize the opportunities that they're given and take advantage of it, and come in there willing to be a team player, willing to go out there and give it their all each and every night. But again, it's on them. It's how they're gonna take it and run with it, you know.
What do you want people to walk away with after the show as far as audience members? You know, I'm asking everybody during every interview because I get these awesome answers. You know, that car ride home, and you know, when to say thank you for coming, they look at each other. What do you want that conversation to be like?
I would love for far as from a fan's aspect, or
Yes, a fan's aspect.
okay, say, wow, those girls kicked ass tonight, and they were better than the girls on WWE and AEW. Now, I don't feel they're going in as competing, but you know, it'll be good to say that these girls worked their ass off and they deserve to be on that platform. That would be really cool. I feel I want them to go, why are these girls being overlooked? These girls can really go. They can really work. So they deserve an opportunity to be on a bigger and a higher platform.
Definitely. So when we talk about AEW, Thunderosa just competed for the AEW Women's Championship last night, and they're already calling it like there's no negative press as far as that match is concerned. There's no negative press as far as Thunderosa is concerned because she also competed in Dynamite last Wednesday, and I feel like wrestling fans always want something to complain about, but there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, exactly.
So that women's division has been criticized, you know, for a little bit. It's a young company, and I get it. I'm not complaining. They're going to do the best they can. But you were a part of the first AEW Casino Battle Royal. As a promoter yourself, because I know you had a promotion in the past.
Yes.
What are some of the pros and cons that you saw walking in there?
Oh, wow, that was a chaotic. That was kind of chaotic, you know. First of all, I was very excited for the opportunity of them calling me and asking me to be a part of it. But again, going into that, I knew that it wasn't about me. So it wasn't
Right.
about Jazz walking out there getting her shit in. I knew that wasn't going to happen, you know. But it was a little chaotic, but the structure of it was, honestly, dude, it was just a madhouse. I mean, because you have all these girls with a short amount of time, and everyone's out there trying to make sure they get their shit in, and it was just impossible. And that's what I feel that they should have been told, that the match is not about one individual. It's not about you coming out trying to do everything that everybody's ever seen you do before. It's about, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was really about, oh my God, what's her name? Jesus Christ.
Whoever won it, yeah.
Yeah, what was her name? Oh my goodness. What's her name? She was the first champion. What's her name?
Oh,
Naya.
jeez.
Naya.
Naya.
Yeah,
Nyla Rose, yeah.
Yeah, Nyla
Yeah.
Rose. And
Yeah.
you know, it was really about her and the story they was trying to tell with Brandy Rose as well. So you have to know what the match is about. It wasn't about each individual walking down their ramp getting their shit in. It was about the story in the finish that ended with Nyla Rose and with Brandy and Kia.
One thing I did want to mention is that AEW prides themselves in being loosely structured when it comes to their product. They don't give scripts out like WWE does. They give you bullet points, I guess, to just go by. But when there's no script, there's really nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
If it messes up, that's on you. If it's awesome, you get all the credit in the world for coming up with this. But if it messes up, hey, I didn't do it. You're the one that came up with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about the fine line between scripted and unscripted, and what do you prefer? Do you prefer bullet points, or do you prefer?
I mean, a little of both. You know, script, but put it in your words. Don't tell me how to say a certain thing. Just tell me, give me your key points that you want me to make sure I hit. But I can't go out there. It's certain, you know, Jazz not going to talk like you. So I can't go out there and read everything that you wrote on that piece of paper. I got to put it into my own words, you know. But that's what I feel that maybe they should probably look into, is having, you know, some type of structure. But that's why WWF have their own performance center. You have to make sure these girls, you know, they're all jailed and work towards what you want the women division to be. You know,
Right.
they talk about WWF and WWE, but Vince not going to take someone straight off the indies and put them on TV.
Of course not. Yeah. Any characteristics? Any characteristics about Vince McMahon that you anything crazy about him? Any Vince story you got?
No, he's business, man. He's all about a dollar. You know, he's
all about the dollar.
He's all about the dollar.
We're coming to the tail end of this interview. Jazz, I really appreciate all your time. It was so cool to get to know you these past couple weeks and talk to you tonight. It may be a cliche question, but you know, reading up on you and on the history of jazz and realizing, I always knew you were a badass. When you came in, I knew, like, oh no, she's gonna whoop ass. That's it. But reading about all your accolades and the NWA title reign, and you know, you come to this point in your career, what do you want people to say about jazz when you come up in the conversation for, you know, female wrestlers in history?
Wow. That's a hard one because I just want people to remember me and recognize what I actually did for the business. I always tell people I'm one of very few, if not the only, that went to WWE and did all the things I did in this business, and I never had to, and I never was forced to enhance myself any type of way. Not that I'm against it, but I'm one that walked through the doors and say, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is what you get. I didn't have to have blonde hair. I didn't have to have my boobs sticking out, you know, like melons. I didn't have to do all that. I was told, Paulie and Dreamer told me, Jazz, whatever you do, never have any type of surgery. You don't need that. So I just like for women to realize that I was one that helped break that barrier and open that door, kick that door down and said, it's okay not to be a size 1. It's okay not to have blonde hair. It's okay not to have, you know, full lips or whatever. Like I said, I'm not against it, but, you know, if you don't need it, you don't need it. It's not a necessity. You know, it's not like you have to do these things in order to be successful. Just remember those things. Be true to yourself. That's what I want people to realize. Jazz was always
let me ask you these rapid fire questions real quick. What position did you play in high school basketball?
Point guard.
Point guard. Okay. So what was I don't know if I should. Do you remember your hardest receipt that you ever had to take?
In basketball?
In the business? Wrestling.
Wrestling. Oh. I've never had to take a receipt. I've never had to take a receipt, but I've been knocked out cold on live on Raw, but I stood standing tall on my feet trying to fight through it.
What was that?
Trish kick. Oh my
God.
the
Trish kick.
Oh my God. And if you can go back, I'm gonna have next time I see you, I'm gonna find it and show it to you. You can hear it sound like a freaking firecracker went off.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Oh my God.
Hey, Thunderosa is in here. What's going on, Thunderosa?
What's up,
beautiful performance last night. Okay, so besides besides Thunderosa, because I know you said that you would love to step in the ring with her one more time. A little fantasy booking. Anybody now that you would say, man, with her, I'd tear it up in the ring?
Charlotte Flair.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know, you and her have the distinct, I saw the stat today when I was doing research. You and her have the distinct stats of being the women who walked out of WrestleMania with the title.
Oh, okay. See? Thank you.
when she defeated Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch to get the new WWE Championship, I think that was when she was the first woman since you to walk out the same way she walked in.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
You learn something new every day.
I like her style. I like her pace. That's that's my pace, and I feel her and I could most definitely main
That's
event.
awesome. Yeah. So it's Mission Pro Wrestling, Hell Hath No Fury, September 18th in Buda, Texas at Pinball's Kingdom. Jazz, thank you so much. I never thought that when I was that 16-year-old kid getting your autograph that I'd one day interview you and become best friends, and one day you're going to invite me over for dinner for some good gumbo. Like, who knows?
That's right.
The only thing I need you to do, to ask you, when we get out of this live, just press share to IGTV. There's a little tab that when you hit end on top of the screen, it just says share to IGTV, and then that's all I need. And then we could show the rest of the world this awesome interview.
All right. I appreciate it, D.
No, thank you, Jess. Thank you.
Helping me log on to this.
I got a few George Clooney's, but I'm good with this technology stuff a little bit.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you are following Mission Pro, follow me right here on DNC Digital. If you're following me, follow Mission Pro Wrestling Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I am, follow Mission Pro Wrestling, all women's company, women in every position in the company. A huge step forward in the future for women in wrestling, spearheaded by Thunderosa along with her great team. I want to thank everybody. Everybody have a safe night. Everybody take care.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye.
And